Okay, let's make sure this works. Great. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. We're here to talk about how retailers can drive better visual experiences using automation and AI. My name is Peter McCall. I am the Chief Marketing Officer here at Infinite. Prior to Infinite, I ran marketing at another AI startup based in San Francisco. And I'm joined by my colleague, Fabien Vives, who is our Senior Director of Product focused on AI. And prior to Infinite, he was a product leader at C3, which is a publicly traded AI company, also based in San Francisco. There we go. So first to start, I just wanted to give you a quick background on Infinite for some context about who we are and kind of how we think about approaching automation and AI for retail. So Infinite is the leader in next generation product visualization technology. We build software that helps the world's largest brands and retailers create visual experiences online, combining the power of 3D, of CGI, or computer-generated imagery, and AI. And we do it all on one kind of unified single visual platform. A couple key things about us. We're the best funded company in this space. We've raised over $130 million from venture capital firms like Insight Venture Partners. We also have the largest 3D community in the world focused on retail, with thousands of professional 3D modelers that help us bring on board new customers and digitize product catalogs. And lastly, we also partner with many of the world's largest retailers. In fact, we have as our customers 3 of the 5 world's largest and top retailers. So very quickly what we do, and then I promise I'll get into the AI stuff. We digitize product catalogs and provide one platform for visual merchandising needs. So again, we help brands and retailers create visuals online, and we do it by creating digital twins of their products using CGI and AI. And then offer them a platform to automatically create different kind of product visuals, whether those are images, videos, augmented reality, or other kind of interactive online experiences. And again, combining the power of 3D, CGI, and AI. So as I mentioned before, we're going to talk today about how retailers can drive better visual experiences using automation and AI. So first, why does this matter? I mean, if you sell or market online, you need images of your products. But I think what we've seen is that the new reality for retailers is that shopper expectations are higher than ever, especially when it comes to online. And these expectations are really shaped by kind of 2 main things. The first is the brick and mortar experience that retailers have spent decades upon decades and billions of dollars building. Shoppers view that the online experience really is an extension of those stores, right? To them, it doesn't necessarily matter. They might be run by different teams out of different cities. To them, it's all one company. The second is the other digital experiences that the shoppers have across mobile and web, whether that's ordering a car from Uber, browsing TikTok videos on their phone. Shoppers have grown accustomed to really these kind of seamless, simple, powerful experiences online. And they expect a similar level of experience when browsing and shopping in your e-commerce store. So what do they expect of that visual experience online? Kind of 4 key things: complete, consistent, immersive, and personalized. So what do I mean by these? Complete. The experience has to be complete in the sense that they have to know what they're buying, right? They have to be able to see multiple images of the product from different angles, maybe see the dimensions so they understand the size, and really kind of lifestyle imagery to see how that product might fit in with their interests and preferences and needs. The second is they expect it to be consistent. Imagine if you went to a store and every single aisle was set up in a completely different way, right? Maybe it would be exciting, but it'd probably be a bit disorienting. You might take too much time to figure out where things are, and probably you might think twice about shopping at that store again, right? It's the same thing online. Everything needs to be consistent, so they're really spending their time researching products and deciding to buy, rather than figuring out how to navigate that online shop. The third is immersive, right? Shoppers want to have fun when shopping, but also really get a sense of how those products work and how they look. So this could be things like augmented reality, seeing how maybe a chair like this might fit into their home, or interactive immersive online experiences, right? Toggling different products to look to sort of sit next to other products. And finally, they expect it to be personalized, right? Shoppers want to buy from retailers that share their values, that show a similar lifestyle that fits in with their own, and that matches their preferences. So if all this makes sense, I mean, what's the issue, right? Why is this a challenge? Well, historically, product visuals online were created through photography, right? Digital photography, and while effective for certain things, it's not without its challenges. So at Infinite, our internal research team does a number of research studies throughout the year, targeting both shoppers as well as retail execs. And a recent one we did, which was a survey of retail execs across the U.S. and Europe, found that roughly 2/3 of brands and retailers face difficulties in managing and producing product visuals. So one reason is cost, right? Traditional product photography can get, the cost can get really, really high. And more importantly, they can be hard to predict, right? With large product catalogs, with third-party marketplaces, and with constantly changing business needs. The second is that really standardized product photography, if you really streamline that process, it kind of lacks the ability to emotionally connect with buyers, right? If every single product is, every single photograph is a product on a white background, it just doesn't stand out and it doesn't connect with buyers, which ultimately is what you need to convert. And the third reason is really it can be hard to create that consistent experience so that images, again, look similar, but also can stand out and connect with buyers. So again, if you have the third-party marketplace, in many cases, you may not even take possession of any of these products, right? You may be drop shipping, and so to create, to have all the product photography look the same and feel consistent is really difficult. So this is what we're excited about. This is where brands and retailers are really starting to think about next-gen technologies. So we kind of think about the visual commerce experience as kind of these three revolutions that have happened over the last 20 years. The first is obviously digital photography, right? Suddenly you could take photographs at large scale, you could efficiently store them, you could efficiently manage them on a computer, and you could manipulate them, right, with things like with Adobe Photoshop and other products like that. The second is CGI, again, computer-generated imagery, which really freed retailers from having to actually physically have the products in order to create visual representations of them, right, which enables them to create consistent and reusable assets so that they can create visuals across whatever format and channel they need. Imagine, for example, a sofa that might come in 40 different fabrics, right? Historically, taking photos of all of that would be borderline impossible. Many of these may be made to order, but now with CGI, you're freed from those kind of limitations. And the current revolution, I think what you've heard from some speakers earlier today and what everyone's really excited about is AI, and specifically generative AI. The speed and efficiency that AI offers is really unlike anything we've ever seen. It enables you to iterate more quickly because the time to create a draft of something is basically almost instant. Suddenly, teams that had to rely on internal shared services organizations or external agencies, or maybe just didn't have the time to be creative or didn't think that they could be creative, maybe they didn't have the technical skills, now they have that ability at their fingertips, and all for really a small fraction of the cost. So if this is so great, I mean, why aren't people using all this stuff right now? Well, there's a couple of reasons. I mean, one, a lot of it's perception, right? So with CGI, there's been a perception of CGI as Hollywood technology. I don't know if you all are Avengers fans or Spider-Man fans, but these are huge budget movies, and there's a perception that CGI is really only available to big budget, $100 million Hollywood movies, that it requires significant investment, maybe that it also has a certain know-how required, right? That CGI requires these complex tools, specialized technology, perhaps people with degrees in this certain area. And prior to the last few years, this sort of has been the case, right? This really has been the domain of Hollywood studios. But with modern technology, it no longer is. And with AI, which is really exciting, which is on everyone's minds today, prior to, again, a few years ago, this required large teams of highly educated PhDs, highly compensated PhDs, who had to spend months and years cleaning data sets, collecting data sets, building models, training them, and then massive investment in compute costs and GPUs. I think, we think about it really similar to kind of cloud computing, right? Back in the day, you had to rack your own servers. It was super expensive. There was a big upfront cost. With the last 20 years with the advent of the cloud, that's no longer the case, right? You can get access to servers and compute with a few clicks and a credit card, right? We've really seen that same revolution happen with AI over the last couple of years. And I think especially with CGI specifically, it's an area where I think sometimes the benefits perhaps are not as well known, right? What's interesting is that now AI is on everyone's minds thanks to the launch of ChatGPT in 2022, but ultimately the tangible benefits for both are really clear. They reduce costs for the business, and ultimately for your shoppers, right? They take a historically manual, slow, expensive process and make it fast and inexpensive. But what's interesting is it's not just about cutting costs, right? You actually can create a better experience. Again, think about that sofa I mentioned that comes in 40 different fabrics. It was practically, practically impossible to take photographs of all of those different types of sofas. You probably didn't have them. Now with CGI, that's no longer the case. So not only is it reducing costs and increasing speed, it's actually creating a better experience. And finally, and one of the things frankly, we even use internally in Infinite quite a lot, is just the speed to iterate, the speed to ideate, so that your teams can really move faster than ever. And what's great is that investing in this area really does have an impact, right? Strong visuals create values. Create values. In that same retail executive survey I mentioned, we found that over 2/3 of shoppers, a couple things, they won't purchase from a site where the content doesn't speak to them, right? Where it doesn't resonate or fit with their preferences or their lifestyle. The second is they say lifestyle imagery captures their attention more when shopping online, right? Great visuals speak to all aspects of the products and really give them a sense to reassure them of what they're buying. And finally, they're more likely to buy a product if they see it from all angles. I mean, this is common sense. If you go to a store, you can pick up the product, see what it looks like. You really get a sense very quickly. That doesn't necessarily translate to online, but more images, more angles, more interactivity really reassures them about what they're buying. And what we sort of see that sentiment reflected with the retailers we talked to, right? 91% of retailers agree that investing in strong product visuals improves business outcomes. So what's interesting is that we kind of think about this technology as really unlocking the knowledge and the know-how and the experience that sits within retailers' organizations, right? The vast majority of retail execs agree that their team actually has the creative ideas to improve product imagery. They have the answers in their heads, right? Or at least they have the knowledge and experience to figure out how to get there and test different strategies. But historically, again, they haven't felt empowered. They haven't felt like they had the time or the money or the resources to go and search for those answers because of the practical limitations. It's been too expensive and too slow, and when things are too expensive and slow, oftentimes people don't even try. But now we're at the point where this rapid, iterative approach is possible thanks to AI. And I think what's most interesting is that the real power lies not just in each of those visual commerce revolutions we talked about, digital photography, CGI, and AI, but actually taking the best of each technology and combining them into one. Coresight Research is a leading analyst firm that did a study recently that found that, again, that real power lies not just in adopting new technology when it comes out and using it for everything, right, using it wholesale, but actually taking the best of each of these next-gen technologies, whether it's, again, CGI, AI, digital photography, and combining them. So, for example, by combining AI and CGI, you can speed up the process of creating 3D models. Again, these are those digital twins online. Now that you can digitize your product much faster, you can start to use CGI tools much more quickly. You can also automate the process of enhancing images, which Fabien's going to talk about a little bit later. So, for example, displaying a 3D digital twin on multiple backgrounds that have been created by AI to really quickly get feedback on what works and what's going to help you get to your goal. Lastly, using AI more on a kind of a text-based sentiment to understand what products fit together, right? For example, different products that enhance each other's value, like a bicycle and a bike pump, or a mid-century modern sofa with a mid-century modern coffee table, right? Historically, these have relied on metadata and tags, and it's been somewhat of a manual process up to human interpretation. But now, with the image recognition and understanding technology that generative AI can do, a lot of this can be done at a much more granular level, faster, and more accurately. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Fabien, who's going to talk to you a little bit about how some of this AI is being used today.
Thank you. Thanks, Peter. So one of the first application that is most obvious, like for our retailers, is solving the challenge of the PDP trace. So the apparition, the combination, as Peter mentioned, the combination of AI, automation, and CGI really helped actually solve that challenge, where we're talking like solving it at scale for the entire catalog, where CGI ensures the consistency of the imagery. You can repeat the same consistency, the same look and feel across the entire catalog of your products. Then you have automation, which allows you to create visuals at scale for hundreds of thousands of products of your catalogs, if not million. And then AI really informs and orchestrates the product combination, the product associations that will most likely resonate with your consumers. The other interesting application that we've seen about generative AI has been like for the CPG and the cosmetic industry, right? So if you take, for example, a bottle of face cream, now you can take a 3D model of that object, and then you can layer it upon a background that has been generated by generative AI, and you can now have access to an infinity of possibilities of visuals for your consumers. And those backgrounds can be generated and driven by maybe global trends, global events, seasonality, or even actually by the consumer preferences. So now suddenly, instead of having a product that's sitting in front like of a white background, you have a product which is like in a more appealing context and a more interesting context, which is more likely to drive sales for the retailers. Another critical area that Peter briefly mentioned where AI can be extremely beneficial for retailers is the concept of ideation. How can we accelerate the brainstorming process? How can we make the ideation cycle significantly faster? So now what you can do, you can take just a sketch and just provide a couple inputs, whether it might be the style of the room, the colors, the fabric, the mood, whatever it might be, and you can get the visuals in a matter of minutes. So now suddenly you're taking away the uncertainty, you're taking away the misalignment of the stakeholders. It allows you to have a faster cycle and better alignment, and you can brainstorm significantly faster. Then another area which is really fascinating and that we've seen like tremendous progress, especially with generative AI, stable diffusion, which are some of the technologies that you've heard about recently, is the concept of accessorizing a product, right? So now you can take a visual, you can just pinpoint at a location, you can say what you want to see. Maybe it's going to be like a yellow pillow or a blue throw blanket put on a couch, and then generative AI is automatically going to be generating that accessorization of the product. So now suddenly you're doing something that would be taking probably like hours, if not longer, in traditional photography, and you can do it right now in a matter of minutes, adding and removing products just to accessorize one of your products. And then finally, one that might not seem as sexy as visual imagery is also like the concept of product descriptions. So whether you want to generate product description to optimize your SEO, or whether you want to have consistent product description across your catalog, or maybe if you want to have product descriptions that are tailored to the consumer's social demographics. Now with generative AI, you can actually analyze the image and you can generate powerful and accurate product description and description of your images. But then what does it mean also like on the consumer side? What kind of experience can we be driving that will be enhancing the shopping experience overall? Well, the first one is if you think through of the shopper's journey, typically it's going to start like with a Google search, right? And so by automating the creation of your images and by using AI, you can start differentiating. You can start increasing the click-through rate of both your paid and organic channels. So here, for example, you could be looking and searching. That's like an example you could do right now. Search for a table, and you're going to be seeing the same product, the same visual across all the different outlets because they're all using the same stock images. But now with the power of automation, using AI actually to be more relevant in terms of seasonality or trends or whatever might be happening in the world, you can be presenting differentiated visuals that will drive better engagement for the shopper. The next type of approach that we've seen being very powerful when it comes to driving engagement is this concept of automated editorial images. So now whether it's like at the front page of your website or if it's on a product category page, you can actually start creating images that are relevant. Again, images that have been automatically and created and assembled by AI to actually match maybe the seasonality or if you have store promotions going on. Because again, once again, we talked about having the 3D assets already available for reuse to be assembled and composed in an image automatically, and AI being informed about the different inputs that may drive like better engagement. And so now you're creating also a richer experience with deeper visual, deeper meaningful visuals, and also kind of like a Pinterest-like experience on the page that again overall creates a better experience for the shopper and will be driving actually better engagement in metrics such as like click-through rates. Following up on that, and if you keep diving on the user journey, on the shopper's journey on your website, is going to be the search experience, the browsing experience. And if you're a big retailers and you have like many vendors selling products on the platform, the risk that you're going to be incurring is actually a very disjointed experience. Like the look and feel, the photos are going to be different. The main photo displays is going to be different. Each one is going to have a different lighting. So now by automating the process of creating all these visuals, you can have a cohesive experience. So now your consumer, your shopper is not confused, doesn't have a feeling of a website that might feel like unprofessional. It's just like a more pleasant, cohesive experience overall. Then another type of engagement where we've seen like a lot of success is what we call like automated lifestyle imagery. So here in this case, you let the user interact with the space. You let the user pick a space, pick a scene that might look like something that feels like close to home to the shopper, something that they're familiar with, and then you let them interact with that image. You let them pick the products that they're interested in. They can put a bed, they can start accessorizing with a rug or some curtains or some side tables. But all of this, again, is possible through the use of automation and AI. Automation in 3D because it allows us to have all these products ready and available to render, but also AI because now if you've learned about the shopper's pattern, what they've been browsing before, you can also like start permanently placing products into that scene. Or also you can use AI because you've learned through past patterns of purchases that such and such products actually tend to go together, and you can have like better combinations that are more pleasant for the user to interact with. Then we've already talked about like this example, but once again, this is an area which is, I think, like very important. It is like one of the most important challenge for the retailer, which is this concept of having like a full PDP tray, a full PDP imagery, right? There's nothing more frustrating than browsing different products, and in one case getting one photo, in another case getting 3 photos, and so it creates again like a disjointed experience, when here we can create really like a complete immersive experience for the shopper so that they can really get like a feel for the product that they're trying to buy. And then we've talked about immersion. So what does that mean? It means being able to interact with those products, being able to really learn like every single facet of the product, being able to learn about the dimension and understand if it's going to fit in my space. So this is obviously very important when it comes like to impacting metrics such as like rate of returns of your product. And then after the consumer can take the experience one step further by taking those objects and using an AR experience, using the AI experience to put those objects inside their own living room, inside their own bedroom. So now you're really like at the last step of the journey. The shopper has been going through all those steps, has been searching on the web, has been searching on your website, has been browsing, has been learning about your product through all the different visuals. And now this is the last step of their decision process to decide if they want to buy the product. So we've talked about how automation and AI technologies have been growing significantly, even more so like in the past year and a half, whether it's been through ChatGPT or technologies such as Stable Diffusion when it comes like to imagery. And while there's still like limitation, and you may have noticed some of them actually in the visuals that I was showing, in particular like the accessorization of the couch. Maybe some of you noticed that the couch, the armrest ended up like being rounded instead of remaining square. So these are some of the limitation of the technologies, but still we see like tremendous opportunity to impact the business, to impact retailers, whether it's a matter of speed in terms of deploying and iterating, if it's a matter of consistency, creating a more cohesive experience for the shopper, a matter of creativity as well. We talked about ideation and being able to brainstorm and being able to iterate faster, and then ultimately creating a better experience for the shopper and a more immersive experience. So thank you very much, everybody. And yeah, if you have any questions, happy to answer.